Thanks for staying with us. She's a tech executive, author, and angel investor. She's currently the MD CEO of Nigerian Communications Satellite Limited, NIGCOMSAT, the nation's foremost agency in charge of managing the operations and services of Nigeria-owned communications satellite. She was recently awarded the Most Outstanding Female CEO of the Year 2024 by the 5th Business and Excellence Awards. Not only that, she also is a recipient of the Women Innovate INWED 2024 Women Impact Leader Awards recognition this year. Her contribution as a female technologist and making positive impacts in society has been quite noted. Welcome with us, Jane Egerton-Idehen, to the show. You see a powerful woman like this, yes.
You smell it, you sense it, you feel it.
Madam, she's so NIGCOMSAT, long. Like, you didn't even do NBC. NIGCOM satellite. I'm thinking, how did you get? So let's start with your tech journey. Before we get to how you got to NIGCOMSAT.
I like the way you said how. So it wasn't intentional.
Okay.
Because I studied engineering, but I studied engineering because you know how it is. In hindsight, I knew that I was drawn to challenges. I just had my mom, eavesdropping with another woman. I literally was like, this is very difficult course. My son is studying, everybody is failing out. And I'm becoming like, I like that one. I think I want to do that one. So it was more about engineering. At the time I was graduating, it was when oil and gas was the thing, banks. So I was actually hoping to work in one of those. But in my fourth year, I did an internship as a satellite company because I was told I really wanted to utilize my engineering skills. And I was told that that's one of the companies where if you really want to utilize your engineering skills.
Nigerian company or international?
It was a British company based in Nigeria. So I went there, I did an internship. And after that, I was telling someone the other day on Friday because I was looking out the window, looking at the dishes from my office. And that used to be my job. I used to work as a teleport engineer on Ajesa Dogo Stallion House.
Wow.
And I used to run a shift 2-4-7. In short, because I was single, I used to tell everyone to give me their shift.
Wow.
Because I could make extra
available,
money.
So, wow.
So it was interesting. So that's how I got it. I really wanted to utilize my engineering skills. And that company I could get to do that. And that's how I started the journey. And it was a satellite company. So.
Jane, let's talk about this internship. This internship that shifted everything. Because people play with internships.
Oh, yes.
People don't know. I see a lot of younger ones not knowing. I don't supposed to work at TVC.
Yeah.
I'm studying mass comm. I'm like, do you know how wide mass comm is? That you want to just do internship to go and do media, be host. You're limiting the potential. Yeah. You took an advantage to do internship in a particular company that shifted what area of engineering you would focus on. That journey of your years and what really was your experience and what changed that you decided I'll follow this satellite route?
So I think one of the key things that in my head, it was clear that I wanted to be an engineer. I didn't want to be someone that studied engineering, then is doing banking. It was always happening, or is a teacher. I know you do something else.
Off your course.
So when I came into that company, I was learning quite a lot, and I was intrigued because, of course, it wasn't that the idea wasn't I was going to go do satellite, but it was something I was curious about. I was in an environment where, it was a thing because we could call the MD by his name. I thought these people are kind of curious, like Joe for the MD. I like the environment. I like the culture.
The workplace culture.
Yeah. So even when it was time to, because I left there after like 18 months. And still to make that same next decision, it was based on where can I learn most. So that drove me. And I heard someone say that at the first 5 years of your career, you should be more curious to learn, to expose yourself to as much knowledge as possible, not necessarily money. So you will be trading in money in some cases. Because you are probably taking the oil and gas route. I probably would have earned more from the beginning. But I remember when I was once to make the call, because then I saw an application in a newspaper, and I keep telling people and applied. That's how I got into Ericsson. Wow. The only difference at that time between Ericsson and GS Telecom, which was the satellite company I was working for, was that Ericsson was going to give me career prospects in terms of training. I was going to earn the same. So it was like a lateral move. And I remember it was difficult to make the call because they kept asking me, you have to give us an answer. And I'm like, I'm still thinking about it. And I was analyzing with my friend. I was like, the only difference is that these people said they're going to train you. So Ericsson had told me there will be a training, I'll be exposed to all this new tech. So that's the only difference. Because in terms of pay, It was the
Same
same.
thing.
So
Interesting.
I think in terms of internship, I think people should be curious at the beginning. Just you don't even know yourself. I don't think I really knew. You didn't really know what your
Yeah.
strengths are, what you
Yeah.
really are, what you really like. So it's when you keep exposing yourself, you start to figure out.
I love that. First 5 years, go in there, suck it in, and then you now have an idea where you go.
everything.
So I would like to know, being in a male-dominated field, engineering is not something that is very common for women. How did you thrive in your first years? How did the men accept you? Were you the tomboyish kind of nature that if we must enter this place, we have to look a certain way or behave a certain way? How did you do it?
So I think I really became aware of this kinds of topic when I graduated. As a student, I never went into engineering thinking, I know people had told me that, oh, engineering is tough, it's mostly men, but in my class of 100 students studying electronics engineering, UNN, there were 10 of us women.
That's
and
my
we
alma
never
mater
felt
too,
like,
by the way, I'm very
oh,
proud. Yes, yes,
great. But I never thought in my head that, oh, we're not going to be, I'm not going to be good at it because all these guys are men. But I think it first hit me when I went into the
job
workforce.
market.
That's when I realized that people will just look at your gender and discredit what you can deliver. They're already making assumptions looking at you. And I thought that was weird, So I think that's when I started to really adapt to the reality. But I think it hit me most in my childbearing years. So even as a single, you can get away. When it was not time to take maternity and go maternity 1, maternity 2, you're raising kids, all the women started to disappear. Because I was one of the ones that wanted to really stick it out in that engineering field. But I started saying, because it was tough for most of them. The realities of the way the job has been defined makes it difficult for women to stay in it. I'll give you an example. I would have a baby. I need to have 3 months off, isn't it, maternity? So imagine coming back after maternity, all your colleagues have been promoted. Everybody forgot to promote you. You start to feel weird, isn't it? Then they start booking meetings at 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, to make a meeting at 8 means I should have left my house at 5 or 6. But if I was breastfeeding a toddler all through the night, 8 a.m. is not it's not a good reality. Like, make it 9. Give me time to figure it all out and get myself prepared. And if I start hiding to tell you I want to take my son for immunization, after a while, most women start to make the call.
You have to hide.
What's the use? Let me I'll go be a teacher. I'll stay at home. So those realities made it tough. People will judge you just for things you can't control, like your gender. I've been told, I've started in an interview before, and someone was telling me, oh, have you had a discussion with your husband about this job? And I didn't even know, because we've normalized it. At that time, I'm like, we've had this conversation. He said, did you really have a conversation with him that this job is in a different country? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't think my husband has a problem with it. I'm literally in the last stage of the interview. So I remember going home, as you reflect with your husband, like, oh, they asked me this question, that's because. And I said, they asked me this, he's like, why would they ask you that? If I was the one, would they ask me, have I discussed with my wife that the job, So you have all those things that tend to subconsciously, because of the bias. But I think that's where it really hit me.
I have to do a follow-up with that, because how are you as CEO now? How are you helping other women behind you to fix that problem going forward?
Thank you that you said that. So I think about 9 years ago, so intentionally I started creating mentoring groups where I was working. And it became so light, because women will come to me and ask things like, how did you do it? How are you doing it? What's the... And I told them the best way is to show you, rather than keep telling you. So I'll create mentoring groups. So people will dial in. We will bring a similar profile person, and she would share, but it was no holds barred. It wasn't one of those things of 5 things to be. No. It was like, tell me, how did you do it when you came back from maternity and they decided that you were the only one that wouldn't get promoted? Or how did you do it when they wouldn't put your name, because everybody thought she's going to get another baby soon, let's leave her. This is baby dumb. She just got, people are subconsciously making decisions for you without involving you. So we were having those kind of vulnerable conversations, and women loved it. At some point, there were like 300 women dialed in from different countries, because I was working for a multinational in boardrooms. That's how on high demand these sessions were. So when I was leaving the company, people were insisting I should replicate it, because I wanted to hand it over to HR. That's how I started Women and Career. Basically, the name tells you can tell I'm an engineer. It wasn't a fancy name.
Yes,
Women and Career.
Straight to the point. Let me get on a very short break. We'll come back. I'll start with Chika. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We still have our guest with us. Chika had a question.
Yes, I just wanted to talk about successful women like yourselves. You know, it's very daunting, all that you've been able to achieve, you know, very accomplished, written so many books, spoken at so many events. You're a woman in a male-dominated field. Right now, if you were to be asked, as at today, what would you define success for you as? And how has that vision or that perspective of success, how has it changed for you over the years?
So success is changed, actually. So
Okay.
I always say that you define it yourself, not what
Yes.
people tell you
Yes,
success.
yours.
Because you can then try and achieve their goals and realize that this doesn't make me happy.
Right.
So I did, when I started in my career, I actually was running away from poverty.
Okay.
If you read my books, you know I grew up in Nigeria, so I was technically running away
Yes,
from
I saw that.
poverty. So success at that stage was just having enough money to feed, take care of myself, and live a good lifestyle. And after a while, it wasn't that. I wanted to make sure that the people behind me, I have, you know, create some kind of impact for the
Right.
people behind me. Now, it's more than the people behind me, is that you want to open doors so that people like you have a chance. So success for me has always been, how can I ensure that the things that are truly true to me, my priorities, I can stay focused? Because those are the things that make me happy. Ensuring that my marriage works, my kids, my family, we're still together, that my career is thriving, that my spiritual life is where it has to be. And that is for me is success. So the goal is always, you see those 4 things, how can you keep your eyes on it so that they don't slip? It doesn't mean they won't slip.
I don't want to
Important
suffer.
thing that if they slip, we'll drop everything and fix it.
And fix it.
That's what's
Jane, Jane, I always think that something must give for a
Yeah, I
successful
think so
woman.
too.
You cannot.
balance,
You have to be a
balance.
witch
Sacrifice.
to have it all. You know, we are all mothers. We have our struggles. You know, I was going to travel. My son was in hospital, and the morning he was discharged, I took him to school so that I can have time to run and do some errands, and I had to leave him. So we know that something gives. What's the most important thing in all list of priorities that you know you
Sacrifice.
I should never give.
would give up everything to fix?
So those 4 things I told you, I will work religiously to fix them. So like, just like you said, there was a time in my career, I used to live in Ghana. I was running Egerton operation in Ghana. And I used to travel a lot because of the nature of the job. But I found out that my 3-year-old daughter was closer to the nanny than me.
Wow.
And it was just basic, because I'll come back from a trip. It's like, hi, mom, and she goes off with the nanny.
spends
The
time
nanny
with
lives really at the back of the apartment, but she doesn't care. At night, if she has nightmares, she'll run to the nanny. And I remember being so upset, talking to a female mentor that was sitting. I was like, you know what, I'm going to sack this nanny. This is not working. And she's like, are you going to then sack the next nanny, and the next nanny, and the next nanny?
So you
I
need
think
to
you should
fix
fix it. If it's not working, then go back, throw everything at it and fix it. And that's what I did. I now even started making my daughter say, I don't know how to make hair. You see, I see the pictures now, I'll be
Spend time with
laughing.
her.
But that's how to
Found
spend time to
something.
her. Every night, I make sure I'll be the one to talk her to bed, read her a story, pray with her. It didn't turn overnight. It took almost 9 months. But the day I knew it turned was normally when I put her to bed, I'll go back to my room and start walking. And normally, if she has a nightmare, she'll run down the hallway to the nanny. That particular night, she ran down into my room. My room is next door. She never would
She
run
go,
to
I
my
can't
room.
leave you.
She'll go
Don't worry, I
all the
have
way down.
I have that experience.
That night she came, I hugged her. I'm like, God,
Thank you.
finally.
Good.
I had to win her back. So that's how I see it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying if the chips are down, what would you dare and say, this one, I would drop everything and fix? Is it my marriage? If it's now having issues, okay, whatever, everything coming down. This is now priority. But you have to define what those core things are. And for everybody, it could be different. So if you know what yours is, you make sure you give it attention.
So I know we don't want to focus much on your career, but because we're wrapping up very soon, just touch on 1 or 2 of this. Because people are hearing NIGCOMSAT and wondering, the only thing Nigerians remember about NIGCOMSAT is like he fell one time during Obasanjo's time.
He lost.
We lost it. That's what Nigerians know about NIGCOMSAT. I'm wondering, because, I mean, those of us in this industry, we know about Utelsat, we know satellites, we know communications, but what exactly is your role? What exactly does NIGCOMSAT do?
So I will start by saying we should be proud. There are 54 countries in Africa. What NIGCOMSAT has, or Nigeria has, only about a handful, like 4 countries, Egypt, South Africa, Morocco, and maybe Angola, can do it.
Okay.
So we have a communication satellite.
Okay.
Yes, the first time we attempted it in 2007, it failed. But like tech, It's like buying a phone. The first time it didn't work.
Yeah.
We attempted it again in 2011. And since 2011, we've had that communication satellite, the size we have managed it ourselves. There is no expatriate in that building.
Wow.
We are managing. And if I look at it on the African continent, the closest to that advanced talent sits in West Africa, in Nigeria. There's no other operator in West Africa that's owned by. So sometimes we don't, because it's always easy to see your mistakes and amplify it. You don't see the value. There's some of the, technology we have on that satellite. Nobody else can do it in Africa. Like we're having foreign companies coming to try and access that technology. So it's good that we are proud of that. The fact that we were one of the few to launch that. We were actually the first to launch a communication satellite in Africa as a nation, not like Eutelsat. Those are privately owned companies. And we've been running that for almost 14 years. Now, I think what is required is like something we were saying earlier on about how do we focus and make sure that the things that are priority. So how do we make sure we run it so that it can actually fulfill its mandate? And its mandate.
What is the mandate here? Tell us the mandate.
The mandate is to provide connectivity, primarily for Nigerians, and of course to commercialize it. Now the great thing about satellite is that it can complement. technology is layered. It's not only mobile operators. It is not only fiber. It's the combination of all three. Because there's some use cases you only need. You cannot do it. To put connectivity on a plane, is only a satellite can do it. On a moving train, on a moving ship, it's only a satellite. To broadcast, this is your TV. How do you broadcast satellite TV?
So, you see, the thing is that when I think of, I feel like NIGCOMSAT is late to the party. And the reason is because, NBC was here the other day talking about the fact that you're going to be helping to migrate our channels. But we are now on digital. Thank you for that. But we're past that because we've been on Eutelsat. Many private companies have already used international satellites and they're even migrating now. So it's like, Nigeria, welcome, thank you, but you're late to the party, don't you think?
So I agree in a way that there were errors in the past. But like in my place, they say that whenever you wake up is your morning. Now we have woken up. We want it to be. And there's still value for it. The broadband penetration for Nigeria is still less than 50% for over 200 million people.
Wow, so
there is no other country in Africa you will see this market sizing. Why do you think others are here?
We have to wrap up. Thank you. Unfortunately, we run out of time. I'm so sorry, but we have to wrap up. Thank you. We'll bring you back again to break it down for Nigerians because, as you said, we should be proud of what you're doing. But we are really happy to have you. It was a pleasure having you on the show. That is all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.